Hey everyone, I wanted to share a little story about this here guitar and about my experience learning to play the guitar. It happened when I was pretty young. I started when I was pretty young, and I didn't really have that much interest in playing guitar, but it was something that other siblings were doing, so I thought I'd take a stab at it. And my parents encouraged me, so that was good. I went to lessons. That was pretty traditional at the time. Got signed up for lessons, had to go to lessons, practiced in between, and had a book to work through with songs like Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley, those kinds of things. Not really the kinds of songs that I was all that interested in playing or listening to, but it had the building blocks of the guitar, of the system of the guitar, learning how to play certain chords. And you play the chords over and over again, pretty simply, switching back and forth until you could do it smoothly without much pause in between. And your strumming would be very much downstrokes, and later on you got to do like down and up strokes to vary it a little bit. But it was very much a slow process, so I had to kind of come to terms with that. And it was really, really frustrating for me because I wanted to be able to perform the guitar like I was seeing other people perform the guitar, like my teacher was performing the guitar, like other students that I would hear with her practicing, and I couldn't do those things, and so I would get discouraged. And and so and part of the reason that wasn't able to do those things was because my practice ethic was terrible. She would assign certain pieces from the book. I would take them home. I would put the book away. I wouldn't sit there and struggle through them because it was a struggle. It felt like a struggle. It felt like a lot of work. It was demanding. My fingers wouldn't move that way. I had to stretch my fingers out a little further, and it was tough. You had to build up calluses on your fingers so you could push these strings down. It wasn't very pleasant. So there's a lot of unpleasantries, and I wasn't making much progress. So eventually, actually, she kicked me out. She told me not to waste my parents' money and learn the guitar some other way. And I did. I picked up some skills, obviously, from her. I practiced a little bit, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough practice to make it worth it. And so I learned a pretty valuable lesson from that guitar experience was that I needed to practice more, and I needed a way to make practice more meaningful for myself. And so when I started taking a Chinese class, practice with the language became more meaningful. At that time, I think because I was taking with a friend, and we were able to come up with stories and just phrases that we could share. We had our own little private kind of inside jokes all the time, and so that practice became very real for me, and it became very meaningful very quickly. And so I was able to practice every day, which I wasn't able to do on the guitar. I just didn't have the motivation to keep playing guitar every single day with these rudimentary kind of skills that I had to learn. Um, and so anyway, I see a lot of these parallels between learning a musical instrument like the guitar or maybe the piano or violin. You have these awkward stages that we go through, and you have to find a way to make it through those awkward stages. You have to find meaning in the practice itself. You have to enjoy that practice, even though it's kind of painful to stretch out your fingers, to push on these strings really hard. You still have to go through that process of every day sitting with your musical instrument, sitting with the language that you're studying, and rehearse it. Go through it and record yourself doing it and play it back. Listen to the mistakes that you're making. And then just find other ways to perform, other venues that you could actually practice for, other goals that you could set for yourself. One of the reasons I actually got halfway decent with guitar, or at least I could play chords in a relatively smooth manner, was because we were going to church as a family, and it just made sense, made church more interesting if I was playing guitar in the choir there. So that was really the motivation that it took for me to be part of a group and then play together. And I could learn from the other people playing. I could watch their strumming, and it wasn't just about playing these drills and these these skill building exercises. It was more real at that point. So find ways to make the language more real, and find ways to just keep practicing it every single day. If you don't practice the guitar, if you don't practice Chinese every day, you're missing an opportunity to practice at all. So that's the key. That's my analogy. Language learning is a lot like practicing a musical instrument. If you don't do it every day, you're not going to make the same gains. Obviously, it kind of goes without saying, right? If you don't practice it, you're not going to make gains. So you have to practice. You have to find ways to make that practice enjoyable. And just know that you're going to get through those awkward stages. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it hurts your fingers. Yeah, making zh, ch, sh noises in Chinese sounds kind of funny. Be okay with the funny. Get the feedback. Watch what other people are doing. Listen a lot. People who play musical instruments professionally, proficiently, which is not me, listen to a lot of other people playing those same musical instruments. So that's really key. If you can find a way to listen to native speakers, go on YouTube, go on Youku, watch some Chinese movies, and just make it a regular practice. Obviously, we have our textbook too. Make that a regular part of your listening experience, and keep practicing, and you'll do great.